What are the 5 pedals you would bring to a gig? All right, welcome to Rev Time. What's going on, everybody? Today I wanted to talk about what are the 5 pedals you would bring to a gig, or what would just be the 5 pedals you would use in general. In my case, I've got an assortment out. This is kind of subjective. It depends on what kind of gig you're doing, or even if it's not a set gig, it's like, well, what style guitar player are you? So I'm going to lay out what I would probably show up to a gig with. If I didn't have the Death Star board and I just needed to put something together, what are the 5 pedals? And of course, most importantly, because I cannot tune a guitar, the most important pedal I could ever own is a tuner. So first in line, tuner. I like to have a couple flavors of dirt or gain or whatever you guys want to call it, gnarl. So in my case, and it would be weird if I didn't use this, for an overdrive sound, I definitely prefer to use my tilt overdrive. Also because it has the boost side that has that tilt EQ that I can employ to get me out of some trouble if need be on said gig. So I tend to go overdrive, and then for the next stage, I tend to try to find something that's different, but also with more gain. And in this case, I'm using the Kokopelli, which is a little bit more saturated for sure than my tilt. And then when it comes to modulation, delay, reverb, things like that, I absolutely have to have a delay. So I'm going with this Halo by Keeley. It's an absolutely fabulous delay, and I've just barely scratched the surface on it, but I dig it because you can bounce between some different presets. You can do modulated delays, which are really important, especially depending on the gig you're on. And then of course, for tremolo, I really love the Strymon Flint, and it also has some good sounding reverbs. Are they the best, most tweakable? No, but on the fly, I can get away with quite a bit. So where I would start is my clean tone. Right now I'm using my my Revv D20, and I've got it dialed pretty darn clean. And I'm keeping it that way because I've got options. The first thing I'll do if I need a louder clean, because obviously if you're going to use overdrives and distortions, you might get quite a bit above your unity volume or your clean start. So that might be the first thing I turn on to just sit in a mix. And then if I want some verb, if I want more of like a spring sounding thing, I can just throw a switch. And I don't want to make this a demo video, but that's the train of thought as far as where I will start. My first overdrive is going to be the tilt. I can go to my neck position, and it's going to sound really sweet. But if I hit it back position, it'll bark. What I'll always add to that is a delay. So like my standard delay thing is always kind of a short, kind of 4 repeat delay. It's a little bit more, but those last 3 would get lost in a mix. So I'll just leave that on. It's kind of a standard delay. So that's that. If I want a little bit more, if I can get away with how I have it this dial to embellish a clean, then I'll employ it. So now I know I can use that to punch up my clean, but also embellish the drive on the tilt. My next stage or higher gain is going to be the Kokopelli. So I can go from this to this. If I want to hit that, then I can try it with the boost if I like it. So now I've got some place to go, right? Standard delay on the Halo. On the other side, I shouldn't say on the other side, but the other delay I would want would be a more kind of modulated, dreamy thing. Now, the reason I would want it modulated is I don't have a chorus. I have a tremolo. I can do kind of a harmonic trem, but I don't have a chorus. So if you get that musical director that's like, hey, can I get more of a chorus sound with the delay? It's like, well, but the delay is, you know, it's modulated, so it's chorusing. Oh, okay, cool. Can I get a chorus? In that case, you're out of luck. But in this case, that's why that's there, is 9 times out of 10 when it's going to be something like that within much of the context that I'd be playing in, whether it be a worship thing or country gig, pop gig, whatever, usually it's going to be a modulated delay. So I can bounce back and forth. Obviously, there's tons of presets on this, but that's like my standard start would be a delay like this. Really standard to something like this. And then, of course, on the back side, I can, you know, very last in the chain. So I go basically boost, lower gain, higher gain, delay. And then on the end here is the Flint. Now, normally, I want that before this because I don't particularly like to have my delays into a tremolo. But in this case, it's like, well, I'll make it work. So on the end now, I've got my reverbs, which I pointed out earlier. If I want like straight ahead verb, that's what I'll do. That's like an 80s thing. If I want more of a plate verb, I throw a switch, I've got a plate verb. If I want more of a vintage verb, I'll go that route. And of course I can adjust delay and color, I should say decay and color. In this case, I'm kind of leaving it in the 80s mode because it just fits better. And then, of course, I've got a tremolo that I can switch to, you know, more of a photo trem, more choppy, or I can go harmonic, which always sounds really cool. I tend to just leave it in the tube mode. So yeah, I can go from, I can have my start point be just essentially this. I can go to a clean sound. To a higher gain sound. Or I can lengthen the delay time. I can be like, maybe go this route, go for something a little more slick. can go from that, which is more slick, to, you know, maybe a more atmospheric thing, like I was doing at the top. Okay, cool. So, you know, I didn't spend a bunch of time dialing this in. This isn't a pedal board, it's more of a pedal desk. But it was just to give you guys an example of, you know, what I would do in this circumstance, what I would bring. Let me know what you guys would use. What would you bring if you could only bring 5 pedals? And as always, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. It really helps the YouTube algorithm thingy. And once again, thank you, and I will see you on the next one.